My beloved brothers and sisters, many times in life we wonder why certain doors remain closed, why certain opportunities slip away, and why some earnings never reach our hands. Yet, in reality, this is not a loss, it is Allah's mercy. When Allah protects us from haram income, it is a sign that He loves us, that He wants purity in our rizq, and that He is preparing us for something far better. Sometimes rejection, delay, or difficulty is not a punishment, it is divine protection. When Allah closes a door in your life, especially when it comes to wealth and opportunities, it may at first feel painful and confusing. You might look at a job you didn't get, a deal that collapsed, or money that slipped out of your hands, and you wonder why it happened to you. But in reality, those closed doors are blessings that are often disguised as disappointments. Allah, in His infinite wisdom, knows what you and I do not know. He knows what harm lies behind that opportunity, what spiritual corruption that money may carry, and what destruction that wealth may bring into your life. Sometimes, Allah removes something from our path, not because we are unworthy of it, but because He is protecting us from walking a road that would harm our deen, our peace, and even our future. A believer's perspective must always be different from that of the world. When the world sees loss, a believer sees Allah's plan. When others run after wealth without question, a believer pauses and asks, is this halal? Is this pleasing to Allah? And if the answer is no, then the believer trusts that Allah will replace it with something far better. This trust transforms what looks like failure into security, because you know Allah is guiding you away from harm. Think about how many people chase after quick money only to lose their peace, their families, and even their faith. But when Allah closes that door for you, He is essentially saying, I love you too much to allow you to walk into destruction. These closed doors are not punishment, they are signs of divine protection. Sometimes, you may even see people around you prospering with haram income, and you may feel left behind. But remember, not everything that glitters is gold. Wealth without barakah is not a gift, it is a burden. When Allah denies you that path, He is giving you something they do not have: barakah, purity and peace. He is ensuring that what you do earn will nourish you, not destroy you. The Prophet Muhammad taught us that a person who eats from haram has their dues rejected, their heart hardened, and their life filled with unease. So when Allah protects you from even touching such wealth, He is saving your heart, your prayers, and your future. Closed doors are also a test of patience and trust. Will you trust Allah's wisdom over your own desires? Will you believe that missing out on something haram is actually gaining something greater with Allah? Every time you accept a closed door with gratitude, your faith strengthens. Every time you choose halal over haram, your rizq becomes purer, and your soul becomes lighter. The door may have closed here, but Allah will open another one elsewhere, one that brings blessings into your life in ways you could never imagine. Allah, in His immense mercy, does not just provide rizq to His servants, but He also purifies it by blocking haram paths. Sometimes, a person may think that they are losing out when a deal falls through, or when an opportunity does not work out. But in reality, what they are being saved from is far greater than what they believe they are missing. Rizq is not only about how much wealth you have in your hands. It is about the purity of that wealth and the blessings it carries. The one who created you knows exactly what kind of provision will elevate you, and what kind will harm you, and so He protects you by removing the impurities that could corrupt your sustenance. When Allah blocks a path that leads to haram, it is not rejection, it is protection. He knows that wealth earned through dishonesty, deceit, or impermissible means may seem sweet at first, but it eventually poisons the soul and brings harm in ways you may not even notice. That money may cause constant stress, it may lead to broken families, it may be the reason why du'as are delayed or why the heart feels heavy and restless. A person may smile on the outside with wealth in their hands, but inside, there is emptiness, because the rizq they are feeding on lacks purity. Allah, out of His kindness, chooses to purify His chosen servants, by never allowing that type of provision to reach them in the first place. Think about how beautiful this form of protection is. Many times, you pray for more wealth, you ask Allah for better income, and you strive to improve your life. But then, when an opportunity arises that seems to solve your problems, something happens that blocks it. You may feel disappointed, but if you look deeper, you will realize that this is Allah's way of answering your prayer. He is saying, I will give you rizq, but I will give you rizq that is clean, that has barakah, that brings light into your home and peace into your heart. This type of rizq may not always come in large amounts, but it will always be sufficient. It will always stretch in ways you never imagined, because purity in income multiplies its blessings. Purification of rizq is also about the spiritual consequences. The Prophet Muhammad said that a body nourished by haram will not enter Jannah. When Allah keeps you away from haram, He is ensuring that your worship is accepted, your dues reach Him, and your heart remains connected to Him. This is a sign of His love for you. Many people think that rizq is simply food on the table or money in the bank, but in reality, rizq is also the ability to pray, the peace of mind that allows you to sleep at night, the happiness within your family, and the contentment of the heart. When Allah purifies your income by blocking haram, He is preserving all of these other forms of rizq for you. It is also worth remembering that rizq which comes through halal means may seem slower or smaller compared to the fast gains of haram, but its long-term impact is entirely different. Wealth that is pure grows steadily, and it becomes a means of continuous blessing. It is like planting a seed in good soil. It may take time to sprout, but when it does, it produces fruit season after season. Haram rizq, on the other hand, is like planting in poisoned soil. It may sprout quickly, but it dies just as quickly, leaving nothing but bitterness behind. Allah blocks those poisoned seeds from ever entering your life, because He wants you to reap fruits that will last, not just in this world, but in the hereafter as well. Every believer should learn to see blocked haram paths as a form of divine purification. Instead of asking, "Why me?" we should say, "Alhamdulillah that Allah protected me from what would harm me." When you realize that Allah is actively intervening in your life to cleanse your rizq, your heart develops a sense of gratitude and trust. You begin to understand that the value of wealth is not in its size, but in its purity. A single morsel of halal food can carry more blessings than a feast gained through haram. A single coin earned with honesty can be worth more in the sight of Allah than piles of money earned through dishonesty. Allah purifies your rizq because He wants you to live with dignity, worship with sincerity, and leave this world with a heart at peace. Losing unlawful earnings is never truly a loss for a believer. It is actually one of the greatest forms of Allah's mercy. Many times, a person may feel frustrated when a business deal falls apart, when they are denied a promotion because it involved compromising their faith, or when they cannot access money that seemed within reach but was tied to something haram. At first glance, it feels like deprivation, but in reality, it is Allah saving you from something far more dangerous than financial loss. Wealth that is unlawful is like a beautiful looking fruit that is poisoned inside. It may appear attractive and satisfying, but once consumed, it destroys from within. So when Allah removes that fruit from your hands, He is sparing you from its poison. This is not misfortune, it is mercy. Every morsel of haram that enters the body becomes a barrier between a person and their Lord. The Prophet Muhammad explained that when a man travels long distances, disheveled and dusty, raising his hands to the sky and calling upon Allah, but his food is haram, his drink is haram, his clothing is haram, and he has been nourished with haram, then how can his supplications be answered? Imagine how heavy that barrier is. Now imagine Allah protecting you by ensuring that such haram never reaches your plate, your home, or your heart. That is not loss, that is a priceless gift. When people lose unlawful earnings, they may compare themselves to others and feel left behind. They may look at someone who cheated their way through business, engaged in interest, or sold what Allah has prohibited, and they see them driving a nicer car, building a bigger house, or enjoying apparent luxury. But what they do not see is the inner turmoil that often accompanies such wealth. The absence of barakah makes their lives restless. Their hearts are not at peace, their families are often unstable, and their wealth becomes a source of arrogance or despair. Meanwhile, the one who has been protected from unlawful wealth may not have as much outwardly, but what they do have carries blessings. Their health, their prayers, their family ties, and their inner contentment are preserved because Allah removed the poison before it could spread. This is why scholars often say that being saved from haram is better than gaining halal. Why? Because halal is what you actively earn with Allah's permission, but being protected from haram is what Allah Himself blocks from you. It is His direct intervention in your life. You might be tempted, you might even chase after something, but He closes the door firmly so that you are not harmed by what lies behind it. That in itself is a mercy greater than what you could have ever asked for. Think about how many lives have been destroyed because of unlawful income, families torn apart over disputes of money, friendships broken because of dishonesty, people drowning in debt because they chased interest, individuals who became slaves to greed because of unlawful gains. All of this is evidence that haram wealth never brings happiness. It may bring numbers in a bank account, but it does not bring peace in the heart. So when you are saved from such a path, you are being saved from destruction that others could not escape. You are being saved from trials that could ruin your dunya and your akhirah. Even in the smallest matters, losing unlawful income is a blessing. Imagine finding money on the ground and realizing it belongs to someone else, and instead of keeping it, you return it to its owner. Outwardly, you have less than what you found, but inwardly, you gained something far more valuable: the pleasure of Allah, the purity of your conscience, and the barakah that will manifest in other areas of your life. Losing haram always leads to gaining something greater, whether it is unseen blessings in your health, your family, or your worship. A believer's goal is not just to accumulate wealth, but to accumulate barakah, to earn Allah's pleasure, and to ensure that every bite, every coin, and every possession is clean in the sight of Allah. That is why when unlawful income slips away, you must remind yourself that it is Allah's way of preserving your purity. He is saving you from spiritual consequences that are far heavier than any financial setback. He is allowing you to walk a path of light, rather than one of darkness. And while others may measure success in numbers, you are measuring success in purity and closeness to Allah. Delays in rizq are among the most misunderstood aspects of life. Many people assume that when sustenance does not arrive immediately, or when an opportunity takes longer than expected, it must mean Allah has forgotten them, or has withheld from them unfairly. But in reality, delays are not neglect, they are divine wisdom. Allah is Al-Hakim, the most wise, and everything He does carries perfection and purpose. Sometimes, He delays provision not because He does not want to give, but because the timing is not right, the circumstances are not yet suitable, or because your heart is not yet prepared to handle what you are asking for. If rizq were to come too soon, it might harm you instead of benefit you. If wealth were placed in your hands at the wrong moment, it could lead you towards arrogance, neglect of prayer, or even haram. But when Allah delays, He ensures that when the blessing arrives, it will be a source of good and not a source of harm. Think about a seed planted in the soil. If you water it and expect fruit overnight, you will only be disappointed. But when you allow it to grow in its natural time, the result is much stronger, much healthier, and far more fruitful. Rizq works in the same way. Allah allows your sustenance to grow quietly, behind the scenes, and only reveals it to you when the season is right. This delay is actually preparation. Just like the farmer prepares the land before the harvest, it is Allah preparing you, shaping your patience, strengthening your character, and aligning circumstances so that when the rizq arrives, you are truly ready to receive it. Delays in rizq also teach us humility. If everything came the moment we wanted, human beings would become arrogant and forget that they are dependent upon Allah. The waiting period reminds us that we are servants, not masters, that we rely on Allah for every bite we eat and every breath we take. It keeps the heart soft, it keeps the tongue engaged in dua, and it keeps the believer connected to the Lord of the worlds. This is why delays are not wasted time, they are times of building faith. Every moment of waiting becomes a moment of worship, if you use it to remember Allah and to trust in His plan. Sometimes, Allah delays your rizq because He is saving you from something dangerous. You may not see the hidden traps ahead, but He does. Perhaps if that wealth reached you earlier, it would have connected you to the wrong people, entangled you in debt, or pushed you towards haram sources. By delaying it, Allah is clearing the path, removing those dangers, and purifying the means, so that when you finally do receive it, it will come with barakah and peace instead of regret and harm. What looks like a delay is actually protection from paths that could have destroyed you. There is also the reality that rizq is not only about money. Sometimes what you call a delay in income is actually Allah giving you rizq in another form during that period. Good health, safety, strong family ties, time to worship, knowledge, or even moments of peace are all forms of rizq. You may think nothing is coming to you, but in reality, your days are filled with blessings that you did not count. The delay in one form of rizq is balanced by an abundance in another, but only the grateful heart will recognize it. Another wisdom in delayed rizq is that it makes the believer appreciate the gift once it arrives. If wealth came without effort or waiting, it would not be valued, it would be wasted quickly. But when you wait patiently, every coin, every opportunity, and every blessing feels like a treasure. You use it more wisely, you share it more generously, and you protect it with more care. The delay shapes you into someone who deserves the gift. Allah does not deny, He refines. He delays to elevate you to a level where the gift becomes not just wealth in your hand, but a source of reward in your hereafter. It is important to remember that Allah is never late. He is always precise, always on time, always delivering exactly what is written for you at the moment it is meant to reach you. The delay you feel is not delay in His plan, it is delay in your expectation. What is written for you will never miss you, and what misses you was never written for you. So when Rizq seems slow, trust that it is moving towards you at the speed of divine wisdom, not human impatience. Your job is to trust, to remain steadfast in what is halal, and to continue making dua. Pure income brings with it a unique kind of blessing that cannot be measured simply by numbers or possessions. Barakah is not something you can see with your eyes, yet its effects are felt in every part of life. A small amount of halal wealth can sustain a family in ways that large sums of haram money never could. This is because barakah is the hidden goodness that Allah places in your rizq when it is pure, and that hidden goodness stretches it, protects it, and turns it into a source of peace and happiness. People often chase quantity, but in the eyes of Allah, it is quality and purity that determine whether that wealth becomes a source of benefit or a source of regret. Pure income brings peace of heart. A person who knows that every coin they earned came from halal sources sleeps with comfort at night. There is no guilt, no fear, no suspicion in their mind. And that inner peace is itself a form of wealth greater than money. On the other hand, someone who earns through haram may have more possessions, but their heart is restless. They fear being caught, they carry the weight of dishonesty, and they lack true satisfaction. The one who earns purely may have less in number, but they live with dignity, self-respect, and tranquility. Barakah in pure income also shows itself in how far it goes. Sometimes you see a family with modest earnings, yet their home is filled with happiness. Their table always has food, and their children grow with good character and health. Then you see another family with immense wealth, but constant problems, debts that never end, and relationships that are broken. The difference is not the amount of money but the barakah within it. Halal wealth carries blessings that multiply unseen, while haram wealth carries a curse that consumes it. Pure income is also directly connected to the acceptance of one's worship. When the food that enters the body is halal, it nourishes the soul as well as the flesh. It gives strength to stand in prayer, softness in the heart during dua, and light in the eyes when reciting Quran. The Prophet Muhammad warned us that haram income blocks the acceptance of supplications. So when Allah grants you halal earnings, He is actually granting you the key to having your prayers answered. Every morsel of halal food you eat becomes a means of drawing closer to Allah. Every garment purchased with halal money becomes an adornment of dignity in His sight. Every penny spent from halal earnings becomes an act of worship if done with the right intention. Pure income also creates stability within the family. A household that is built upon halal sustenance will find harmony between its members, because Allah places His blessing in their bonds. Children raised on halal food grow with hearts inclined towards righteousness, while children raised on haram often inherit its effects in their character and struggles. When parents make the conscious decision to provide only halal, they are not just feeding bodies, they are shaping generations. That decision becomes a legacy of barakah passed on to their descendants. Another sign of barakah in pure income is contentment. A person who earns with honesty and trusts in Allah develops qana, a sense of satisfaction with what they have. They are not enslaved by greed or jealousy. They do not feel the constant urge to compare themselves to others, and they live with gratitude. This contentment is a form of wealth that no bank account can provide. It protects the believer from envy, from despair, and from the endless cycle of chasing more. With contentment, even a little feels like abundance. Without it, even abundance feels like scarcity. Pure income also allows you to use wealth for good. When what you earn is halal, your charity is accepted. Your spending becomes a source of reward, and your wealth becomes a means of building your hereafter. Every coin given in sadaqah becomes multiplied. Every gift given to family strengthens bonds, and every act of generosity is written for you as ongoing charity. Haram income, however, does not carry that blessing. Charity given from unlawful wealth does not purify, it does not bring reward, and it does not protect from calamity. So when Allah blesses you with halal, He is opening the door for you to turn your wealth into eternal investments. Pure income brings dignity. It allows you to stand tall knowing you did not compromise your faith for temporary gain. It allows you to walk among people with your head high, not fearing exposure or humiliation. It keeps your relationship with Allah clean and your heart free of guilt. That dignity is priceless, and it is a gift only Allah can give through halal rizq. Trust that Allah provides better through halal is one of the greatest principles a believer can live by. Human beings are naturally impatient. We want quick results, fast income, and immediate solutions to our struggles. In that rush, the temptation of haram often appears. It looks easy, it looks profitable, and it looks like a shortcut to solving our problems. But what appears as a shortcut in the eyes of man is actually a trap in the sight of Allah. To trust in halal is to believe with conviction that whatever Allah has made lawful will always bring more benefit than what He has prohibited. even if it takes longer, even if it requires more effort, and even if it appears smaller in the beginning. Allah's promise in the Quran is clear. And whoever fears Allah, He will make for him a way out and provide for him from where he does not expect. This verse reminds us that true rizq is not limited to what we see in front of us. It comes from doors we could not imagine, paths we did not plan, and sources we never thought possible. When a believer holds firmly to halal and refuses haram, Allah honors that sacrifice by opening doors that would otherwise remain closed. He provides in ways that show His power, reminding us that sustenance is not a product of our cleverness or greed, but of His decree. Trusting in halal means understanding that barakah is more valuable than numbers. 100 earned through honesty and halal means will go further, last longer, and bring more peace than thousands earned through deceit or impermissible sources. This is the difference between wealth that carries light and wealth that carries darkness. The halal wealth becomes nourishment for the soul, a means of answered du'as, and a source of peace in the family. Haram wealth, on the other hand, becomes a burden, a cause of anxiety, and a reason for distance between the servant and his Lord. When you truly believe this, your heart begins to prefer halal, even if it comes with difficulty, because you know Allah will place unseen blessings in it. The stories of the pious teach us this principle again and again. There were companions of the Prophet who endured hunger, hardship, and poverty, yet refused to take even a morsel of haram. They trusted that their Lord, the sustainer of the heavens and the earth, would never let them down, and history records that their trust was never betrayed. Their rizq came, sometimes from unexpected places, sometimes after long delays, but always with barakah that changed their lives and the lives of those around them. This is the legacy of trusting in halal. It elevates a person not only in this world but also in the hereafter. When a believer chooses halal over haram, it is not just about money, it is about loyalty to Allah. It is a declaration that, I value my Lord's command more than my desires, more than people's opinions, and more than worldly gains. That loyalty is rewarded by Allah in ways beyond imagination. It strengthens the bond between the servant and the Creator, and it transforms wealth into worship. Every halal transaction becomes an act of obedience, every coin earned honestly becomes a testimony of faith, and every sacrifice made for the sake of purity becomes a reason for Allah's mercy. Trusting in halal also requires patience. The path of honesty is not always easy. You may lose opportunities, you may face rejection, and you may struggle while others around you seem to be thriving with haram. But the believer sees beyond the surface. The believer knows that what appears as gain without Allah is actually loss, and what appears as loss with Allah is actually gain. The Prophet promised that no one will leave something for the sake of Allah, except that Allah will replace it with something better. This better may come in the form of material wealth, or it may come in the form of peace, protection, and closeness to Allah. Either way, it is always better, always greater, always more lasting. When you trust Allah enough to stay within halal, you are also protecting your future. Haram wealth does not remain. It slips away through calamities, illnesses, debts, or losses. It may even become a cause of destruction for generations after you. But halal wealth, even if small, remains blessed and continues to benefit long after you are gone. It nourishes your children, it protects your descendants, and it becomes a source of ongoing charity if used wisely. By trusting in halal, you are building not just for yourself, but for your family, your hereafter. Another dimension of trusting in halal is the impact on the heart. The human heart was created to thrive on purity. When it consumes halal, it becomes soft, it inclines towards prayer, and it finds peace in remembrance of Allah. When it consumes haram, it becomes hard, it resists worship, and it feels restless. Many people do not realize that their struggles in spirituality, their lack of concentration in prayer, or their inability to feel peace may be tied to the source of their rizq. To trust in halal is to feed the heart with what allows it to connect deeply to its Creator. It is to choose nourishment that brings light rather than darkness. Trusting that Allah provides better through halal also reshapes how we see success. Society teaches us that success is about wealth, status, and possessions. Islam teaches us that success is about purity, sincerity, and closeness to Allah. A person who earns millions through haram may appear successful to the world, but in the sight of Allah, they are bankrupt. A person who earns modestly through halal may appear ordinary to the world, but in the sight of Allah, they are rich beyond measure. The believer understands that real success is not about how much you earn, but about how you earn it and how you use it. This trust requires faith in Allah's names and attributes. He is Razzaq, the provider, and Al-Latif, the subtle and kind. He knows your needs, He knows your struggles, and He knows what is best for you. To trust in halal is to believe that the one who feeds the birds in the sky and the fish in the sea will not neglect you. It is to remember that your rizq was written for you long before you were born, and nothing in this world can take it away from you, if Allah has decreed it. You do not need to chase haram to survive. Survival and success are already guaranteed through the decree of Allah. Every time you resist the temptation of haram, every time you walk away from a deal that compromises your faith, every time you choose honesty over deceit, you are strengthening your trust in Allah. That trust becomes a shield that protects you from despair, a light that guides you through trials, and a rope that connects you firmly to the mercy of your Lord. The believer who lives with this trust never feels truly deprived, because they know that what Allah withholds is only withheld to be replaced with something better, something purer, something filled with blessings,